And? Try to screw it up less next time, although we can't possibly screw it up as badly as the city is screwing this up. And welcome to the This Week in Worcester podcast. I am Tom Marino. I'm editor of This Week in Worcester. This is Mr. John Edward Keogh. He is a valued, featured superstar contributor to This Week in Worcester. He is also executive producer at Manage Media and the president of Hollywood Film Group. Hey, John.
Hey, what's up there, big guy? How you doing?
You made an appearance at an event yesterday.
I did. That was actually pretty cool. Victor Infante has been running the like How Does Journalism Work series here in Worcester, and we went to the library, and I had to cover for Manuel Alvarado, who has another job at Holy Cross covering the football games. So I jumped in. I was happy to do so. And I thought it was a really good conversation with Sarah Barnacle from USA Today. Ben, oh my goodness. Oh my God. I'm going to lose all my Bernard from the Telegram Gazette, and Eric Casey from the Worcester Business Journal, and I forget, and Sam from GBH. Sam from GBH. So I got them all.
You pulled it off.
I pulled it off in the end. It was crazy because I was just sitting next to them yesterday, so it would kind of be stupid if I didn't. Yeah, exactly. We know what I said.
a lot has happened since yesterday.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was fun. I enjoyed it very much. I like the idea of the media doing stuff here in the city. And so, it was an interesting conversation. I thought a lot of the things that we talked about were pretty cool, and hopefully it'll continue to lead to a more, I guess, collegial atmosphere among local media, maybe is the right term.
Yeah, that. So I did one last month on how to cover City Hall skeptically. And it's a good series, and Victor's done a great job with it. There's one more. Not going to do one in December. First Saturday in January. There is another one. I forget what the topic is now, though.
I think social media, like journalism in relation to social media.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, on today's agenda, a few things. The first two things are going to be quick. I just really wanted to point out that just like an hour and a half ago or so, I put a new piece up covering the newly released documents on the investigation of former school committee member and former elementary school principal in Worcester, John Monfredo, investigation of allegations of child sex abuse in the late 90s. We talked about this quite a bit last week. We're not going to do it again, but just wanted to direct you to the written version of some of the stuff we talked about last week.
I will drop the link in the chat for everybody. Go ahead, continue. I'm taking care of business over here.
Oh, I sneezed.
Please don't do it on Facebook.
Don't mind me, just sneezing my face off.
Sarah, we did tell you before it was happening. It's been announced for months and months and months and months. So I don't know what to tell you there.
Yeah, I don't think she's blaming us. Oh, can you tell us before it happened? Oh,
yeah, she just said, "Can you tell us before it's happening?" And definitely was announced. I announced it on my own page for 2 or 3 weeks. Victor's been announcing it every day for a month, and in between he's been announcing it, and it's been going since the summer. So,
no, it's only been what, September, October, and
yeah, but we
October,
started
November.
He started
yeah.
about it in the summer. Yeah, that's right, Zach.
Oh.
That's my kid. Just that's exactly how a kid of mine would talk.
I don't do this for the accolades, but it's nice when they come. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right.
Very much appreciated.
Not fall far from the tree at all. Speaking of apples, I'm going to get an apple.
John just abandoned ship. So yeah, if take a look at that piece. Some of the stuff we talked about last week, and what was in the newly released documents, including, we don't have the 51A, of course, because that's not public document, but there's a reference to a supported 51A, which would typically deem someone unfit to work with children. And so how we get from there to heading back into school is a mystery that we will attempt to solve. I also want to address something that was so horrifically disappointing to me.
Leave Tom alone. Maria's trying to balance out the praise factor.
It's a two-fade. I don't know what you want from me. I also want to address one of the more disappointing things, and I mean, look, I have been disappointed in a lot of things that happened in the city. The response to the DOJ report was probably supreme until this.
Mm.
On the night of the last debates, well, I guess earlier that day, Mayor Petty announced that an endorsement of Maureen Binienda, someone that he was part of, the all but one member, Monfredo, voting against renewing as a superintendent, and really has been visibly annoyed with at best, if not outright angry with.
I mean, during this trial.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's gotten upset because she keeps saying all the kids at South are criminals. She said this on the floor of the school committee like 15 times, and he has gotten down onto the, he does the little swap with the chair thing, and multiple times has said that is not true. The Worcester kids are not. She continues to say these things, which is just wild.
I mean, and the things that this woman has done, partnered with Rob Pizzella, her muscle when she was superintendent, to just snuff out any attempt to discuss the culture within Worcester schools, especially rape culture, which, as I mentioned last week, Heather and others have tried to ask the school to address. Instances of sexual harassment I mentioned last week. Racism Free WPS. You can look it up on Instagram. They asked for students to provide comments on instances of racism that they experienced in the schools, and they got that. But they also got a bunch of instances of sexual harassment and other sexually related issues that happened. And these two individuals we don't want to, as Pizzella told a group of folks not that long ago. We don't want this in our schools. The awareness. Not doesn't seem so concerned about the other stuff, the stuff that's actually happening, but doesn't want any awareness of it. Just cover it up. It's a tradition in this city. Don't deal with problems, cover them up.
That's the go-to move.
Yes, yeah, because they don't care what happens to anybody. They care what goes public. It's very, very apparent to me they don't care about anybody but themselves. Speaking of the mayor's 6-member block of the majority of the city council. So, and then, the mayor's also met with Heather in 2020, last year, I believe it was. Maybe it was 23, but I think it was last year. And, heard her story. And she told him directly the effect that, Ms. Binienda continuing to platform this unrepentant scumbag piece of trash that she's so attached to. And so, I don't doubt that the mayor's decision was plainly near term, having, nothing but near term sightedness. Oh, well, Sue Mailman endorsed Christian, so I'll endorse her opponent. Except you endorsed a terrible person. And in my mind, even if you didn't mean it, I mean, I don't really care. You joined Team Monfredo. It's I can't, I don't know what else to say, but horribly disappointed. Disappointed.
Yeah, so I'm also trying, like, maybe I shouldn't, because maybe I'm doing too much thinking here, but I really do try to think about like the political thought process. Like, why would you make these decisions? Like, how does it help like a certain thing? And so, like, normally, I mean, he only endorsed two people in the that we've seen in the school committee races, right? So he hasn't done a District 1. He only did two at-large ones. So he picked, obviously.
He endorsed in District 1.
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying in the district school committee districts.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he endorsed two of the three candidates for school committee at large. Right. So Adwoa and then Maureen, which of course he didn't endorse Sue. So ipso facto, he's saying vote for these two, not Sue. Right. That's the assumption we're supposed to say. So there's that. And
screw what's best for the kids, mind you. Screw what's best for the kids. What's best for him politically is all that matters.
But here's the thing about it that doesn't make any sense to me. Maureen's voters, which she did receive the largest total voting amount in the last race. How does his endorsement help her? And then Sue's totals were not that close to Maureen's, but they were much farther ahead of the next at larges, right? So Sue's numbers were significant. So I don't know how it would take, and this is not anything against Adwoa, but how does that movement happen? Like how much of a leap would that be? Because he's endorsing her. Because Maureen didn't endorse her, right? So there's not like a coordination of the campaigns. So I don't get that. So then if it's the reverse, does Petty get a bump because he endorsed Adwoa and Maureen, or are they like? I just don't understand the political logic behind it, other than to be just against Sue. And so in that case, why not just come out and say I'm against Sue? Like what like wouldn't that be more effective to me? And the reason I'm asking this, Tom, is because I am asking these things in general about why endorsements and people, because we've been seeing them fly around right now, right? We've seen them, all different organizations are doing them and different people are doing them. And what do they mean? Do they mean anything?
No.
What are they useful for? What's the point behind them? And I just don't understand this one, especially so late. It was made last Wednesday, right?
Yep. Pointless. It's pointless on every level.
Is it going to move anybody? Any independent voters? No. So then it only looks like, I mean, it's hard not to be skeptical about that decision. I just don't understand it.
I mean, it's just no thought, it doesn't seem, put into it, besides the very the nearest of term of, his own politics. And look, I think Christian's run a great campaign. I don't expect him to win. And so it's, he's like, the mayor kind of acted sort of desperate at times in this election, like he's at risk. And I just don't think he is.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of,
and that's with all due respect to Christian King, who again, I think has run a great race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because, I think there's a factor that we're really not taking into account, and I just don't know how it's going to play out because we've never really seen it before. I have no idea how this version of national politics is going to affect this local race. And because very rarely does the president like really directly affect people's lives as far I mean rhetoric, yes, but actual policy. And in this case though, the SNAP benefits being canceled until at least I know there's a federal ruling that a judge ordered them to do it, but there's an appeal. And so it looks like, and Trump said he was going to try to fund it, but it looks like not until like the 15th or the 16th of the month, right? So right now, people who normally get their benefits on the 1st and the 3rd, those are the two primary days that people get their benefits, have not received them. And so are those groups going to be affected by it? That could change the outcome of this election. I don't know. So I don't know who's going to win or not going to win, but I do wonder if these other things that we're seeing matter at all. Because if there's a national event that's like a washout event, then wouldn't that change all of these? And none of them are thinking about that. At least that, not that I can see. No one's thinking about that.
No.
So it's just really hard to understand why.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I mean, all if you could, if you had to summarize her in one sentence, throw more kids out of school. And it's all she advocates for is to expel and suspend more kids.
Well, that and to critique Dr. Monterez until she left, and then she left. So and that was it. And then
Dr. Monterez, who had to pick up the mess that woman left behind.
But also, she definitely has a selective memory on what policies were implemented when she was in charge versus Dr. Monterez, because it really wasn't. Again, it wasn't this long period of time. Dr. Monterez didn't finish her full 3-year contract, right? So,
No, she did.
She finished the 3 years, right? So, yeah. I mean, we didn't really get a long period of time versus some of these other folks who have been around for 16 and 20 and 25 years, and all these long stretches of people in local Worcester politics. Dr. Monterez was like a blip almost.
Yeah, and I mean, the appointing of the current superintendent, I think, made sense because, I mean, the idea is, he bought into Dr. Monterez's program pretty hard, pretty deep, and the idea was to, execute on the things they kind of set up. But I mean, you think the city would learn. They went and looked for some of the best candidate they could find, and they found somebody unbelievable.
Yeah.
And but it's just next man up. I mean, it was just in this case, next woman up in the law department, and the law department is practically gutted. I mean, this is how bad it's going in the law department, by the way, folks. The solicitor is now listed as the records access officer.
Like, did Mike Vigino leave? Like, actually,
I don't know what the circumstances are, but he does not appear to be there anymore.
It's wild because I like Mike. I got along with Mike. So.
And I mean, that place has been the law department is absolutely gutted. Everybody's gone or trying to leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's losing that. Like, the other thing too is like they're in the middle of this big change on how they maintain the records electronically. So, because there's like what the clerk is doing, switching over the backlog of the video. So I just don't understand. If you're losing staff, and you're telling the city council that these things are going to be done at a certain timeline, it seems like losing staff and adding on to her plate doesn't make a lot of sense for finishing those projects. So whoever needs access to the website, you might get ready for a long-term lack of access because they have a lack of staff.
Yeah.
And then frankly, I'm not trying to blame anybody in particular, but generally speaking with her, she's been super negative. So, whenever I've spoken with her and generally her rulings against individual citizens, with access has been consistently, it's been consistently against the people of Worcester. So you would think that it's going to be even more difficult to get access to stuff than it already has been. So that's my maybe it won't be, but my assumption is less staff, a person who's much more conservative in their decision making, you're going to have less access.
Oh, I mean, but let's just be honest about that. That decision making, at least on petitions, is at the direction of the mayor.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's too gutless to actually take accountability for those decisions, so he pawns it off on somebody else to take the heat for it.
Right. So I mean, I think that that's true too. But I don't think that it was. I don't think it was necessarily more easy to access at the whatchamacallit, with the Ed Augustus administration.
Yeah. And just because this is one of my, it seems like I have a lot of pet issues right now, but when this place we call Worcester incorporated as a city in 1849, from the first day, they took petitions from the public. And then in 1950, when we adopted this idiotic Plan E government, it's since been adjusted, so it's not technically Plan E anymore, but it's been roughly Plan E. But in 1950, when they switched over to that, they actually widened the criteria, and you could petition on policy and all kinds of stuff. And within 48 hours in October of 2024, the mayor shut that all down. Just threw out 175 years of precedent in history and defiled the history of that institution. That he's always very concerned about that historic building, but doesn't seem to have very much reverence for that historic institution that is the core of the governing of our city. So just again, 175 years just threw it away inside 48 hours. So, and Martha, nobody's counting you out. I was just being honest about, look, the guy's a wagon. But I think you guys are running on an unbelievable campaign. So don't take it like it's a shot.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to address those two things. Now let's talk about Tuesday.
Yeah, let's get into some election talk. Election talk.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I would like to. I think the school committee, the district races would be the place that we start first. So maybe we should just go in alphabetical order.
Well, district. We'll do the districts first. District A and District B are uncontested. I thought there was going to be a challenger in District B, but that didn't happen. And then District C, there is incumbent Diana Biancheria, part of Team Monfredo, and our friend Fiona Jatan Singh.
Fiona Singh, that's right.
Fiona's in the chat, so no pressure. It seems like Fiona's done a good job campaigning, and I imagine it'll be close.
So, this race, very much like some of the other races, has one person that I see all the time, and another person that I only see in either mailers or, random Facebook photos with the kind of, the majority voters that are on the city council. So I've seen Diana with Donna, I've seen her with Mo, I've seen her with Maureen, I've seen her with Joe, I've seen her with Kate. And that's really the only time I see her.
Yeah.
So, and then, a couple public events like, the District 5 race, she appeared for a minute and left. I started a couple other debates, some forums and different things like that. So I've seen her at those, but again, I don't see her in the same way that I see Fiona. And so I don't know what that means, but I do know that Worcester traditionally rewards people who are out on the street. Take that how you want.
You're right. I also say that let's remember that where Ms. Biancheria comes from. That is, she was in the office of Ray Mariano, a mayor who accomplished nothing of any substance in this city.
She was raised chief of staff at one point, right?
Right after Pizzella became
That's
the
right.
school. Yeah, after Pizzella went to the school system.
So
to
for
be,
those of you who
the
don't follow
enforcer.
Worcester politics, these people are very known within that very small circle. And so, these two folks are kind of an extension of the Mariano era, which has ended a really long time ago. Joe's been the mayor for 14 years, so it's not like and then before him, Connie, before her, Tim Murray. So this Mariano era, which continues, is 30 plus years ago that these folks were city employees.
I mean, when I'd give Tim Murray the nod over anybody, you got to be pretty bad, and I'd take Tim over Mariano any day.
Connie for life, baby. Connie Loops.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Well, it was amazing. I was so glad to see her on whatever day the debates were. I forget.
I was also very interested by the location that Connie sat in. I found that very interesting and intriguing. I
did as well.
Because remember, a lot of the folks that you guys are watching out there, I know that they don't talk about it all the time, but Worcester is a very diverse city as far as there being kind of strongholds of very particular ethnic groups. But one group is the Albanian groups and the Greek groups, right? And so they kind of all go to the same churches. They kind of all live in a lot of the same areas. They all own a lot of businesses. Or mosques, not just churches or mosques. And they tended to vote however Connie said to vote in the past. And so I found it interesting, Connie being at that event, because I hadn't seen Connie really out at those in a while, and she looked great. So that was it. But I also saw a few of her lieutenants were there in style. So that was a good little flashback. But also, I mean, I don't know if that's, again, this goes to Martha's thing. There might be more activity than we are not seeing with some groups that haven't been activated in a long time. So maybe that indicates good on turnout.
Yeah, and I always refer to her as royalty, and she looks at me like I'm crazy, and that's like my thing.
Queen Connie. That's right.
I say, Worcester royalty has arrived.
That's right. She just kind of acknowledges me, and then that's it. That's all right.
Yeah. Which is fine. Absolutely, I agree. In District.
The last thing on District C is that obviously Fianna and Diana both represent. There's a clear choice in approach, policy, kind of political leanings, I guess, between the two of them. So and then Fianna, of course, has children in the system or in school right now, right? So that's I don't know if they're Worcester school kids or not, but if they are, Fianna will correct me in the chat, I'm sure.
Right. Diana's part of the 3-member throw as many kids as you can possibly throw as many kids as humanly possible out of school to caucus.
Arrest kids. We got to get them. We got to put cops, tanks, lots of handcuffs. Got to cuff some kids up, get them locked up.
Yep, absolutely. Because kids going to jail is great.
Yeah, it is. It's the best thing ever. If you go to jail when you're a kid, it always turns into like wonderful results as an adult. I can attest for that. There was no consequences from my juvenile, debacles. Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
But only some kids want to learn, according to Diana.
That's right.
So
that's right. I didn't. You know what it is?
I wonder what the kids that want to learn look like. I bet you they look a certain way.
I didn't strap my bootstraps in. Like, I didn't know how to click them in, and so it made it hard for me to pull myself up by my bootstraps because I just wasn't unable to grip them exactly how you need to grip them to pull yourself up.
It was a little dumb phrase. Such a dumb phrase. Hey, what you need to do is this thing that's physically impossible. Yeah, that's kind of my point, stupid.
Tom, I defy you. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Tom, get it done. America.
So I wish you well, Fiona, who's in the chat right now, because I would like to see school committee members who don't advocate for throwing as many kids as humanly possible out of school. Because God forbid, I know this is a crazy idea, but I think kids belong in school. That's just me.
I'm pro school. I like teachers. I like pens and paper.
District D, Alex Guardiola is running unopposed. Alex is a good guy. You know, I sometimes don't like his votes, but
he's the local chamber representative on the school committee. So we have a
nice. No, he's not. He's long gone from the chamber.
Yeah, but he's Tim Murray's dad.
Well, I like Alex a lot more than I like Tim Murray.
Yeah.
And probably the most interesting race of the districts, maybe the most interesting race of the school committee, is the rematch between the third member of the Throw as Many Kids as Humanly Possible out of School caucus, Kathy Roy, and Nellie Medina. They had an incredibly close race 2 years ago. And it seems like Nellie's put in a lot more work than she did last time. Knocking a whole bunch more doors, going right into the heart, at times going right into the heart of what would be thought as Kathy Roy territory, and working hard. So it should be interesting. It's it's obviously difficult to unseat an incumbent. But I also not sure what exactly in her first 2 years that Kathy Roy can claim as any accomplishment besides voting how Maureen told her to vote.
I mean, yeah, her voting record was pretty much universally whatever Maureen voted. So I mean, there's really no and then there's no really stated policies with Kathy. She just says that she loves the kids, and then that's it. There really is no. It's hard to get substance, and Nellie has a very comprehensive platform where you can get into specifics. She also has a background in organizing. I didn't even think about that incident, but anyways, Nellie has a lot of. Just throw me off when I'm talking good about Nellie. Nellie has a community activism background as well. Has done a ton of stuff. She's been at all the events for, I don't know, as long as I've been around. I've been seeing Nellie 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. She's been around all those local events, and so yeah, I again, this goes to the thing. I have seen Kathy at the more like events, like she was at the District 5 forum, and she was at the District 4 forum at the bar there, Nero's or whatever, 6, 7, and I can't help it now. Whenever someone does that, I immediately do it. Those kids all doing this to me all the time. Whenever I go around, 6, 7, 6, 7. Again, I find like Nellie makes me think, if that makes sense, with her positions and her thoughtfulness. And I don't know that there's anything. Now I get it. She gets my. I don't know that there's any. I just don't know any policies that Kathy has, so it's hard to make a distinction. And then again, I see Nellie everywhere. I think that the people will probably reward the foot traffic. But again, Kathy did beat her the last time. There's about a 250 vote gap in the last election. Yes, I agree with that, Jaime. That is very true. It doesn't really doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
So I've only been doing this a year. We've only been doing this like a year and a half, Jamie. Nice of you to finally show up.
Oh, Jaime's been here before. He's been here before. He's just, he lurks. He's a lurker. You know what I mean? He comes, he chills. He throws some comments. He's a chill dude. He's just a chill dude.
That's my guy. It's my guy.
How many memes can we cover in this? That's
my guy.
That's my dude. It's my guy.
So yeah, I think it's in this city, it's very tough to bet against an incumbent. But I think Nellie's got a real chance.
Yeah, and also if you look at the if you go to the preliminary race, if you combine Nellie and Noelia's votes, there's more votes available for not Kathy than there is for Kathy, right? So there was a 300 vote difference there. That's a big gap, especially when Nellie only lost by like 100 and change the last time. So it looks like they've activated more voters in District E.
Yeah, it seems so. So that will be interesting. I'm sure it'll be tight either way.
I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, and then in District F, in the school committee, Jermaine Johnson is running unopposed. I don't know. I get the impression that that one might not be lack of another candidate. Might be why bother, because he's going to roll.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, Jermaine, he's established himself, and I mean, he's done a lot of good work. I thought if you watched his interview with Manny, I thought it was interesting. They were talking about the it's funny because I'm doing it right now, the dyslexia programming, and how there wasn't some programming activated at certain schools, and Jermaine was working with people because they had lost students who were struggling with dyslexia to other districts because their families had needed to find other places to go. But apparently under Dr. Monterez, they had activated those programs again, and I just thought that was a fascinating policy discussion about school. Another place to talk about these things is the we'll get to the district races in the council. Yep. The Eileen Doyle writes for Worcester Sucks and writes the WPS in Brief article. And so if you haven't already signed up, you gotta check that out, because Eileen does a tremendous job talking about policy in Worcester Public Schools and like how it's been developed over time. And so don't go check out Eileen Doyle if you don't already subscribe to her.
Facts.
And
then in the at-large race, I don't think we're going to see any change.
Yeah, so I mean, it's Maureen, it's Sue, and it's Adwoa. We already talked a little bit about Joe's endorsement. I just don't see how Adwoa, and I'm not trying to be against Adwoa. I'm not. I think Adwoa seems very interesting, has a unique perspective that would be new on the school committee. But I'm also being practical in my assessment of what happens in voter trends here in Worcester without a massive change in turnout or turnout in a specific community. Maureen did finish with the most votes of any elected official in the last cycle, with over 11,000 votes. And so that's a big number to overcome. And then Sue, although Sue was not close to the 11,000, Sue's number is also similar to the at-large city councilors, where she gets into the 7,500, 8,000 vote range consistently. So, Adwoa is a first-time candidate, has to come up with, at minimum, to be competitive, 7,500 votes. And that is, I think that's a tall task, unless there's a turnout change. And so, I think you're probably looking at a Maureen Sue repeat, but it's probably going to be a more acrimonious one because of the mayor's decision to weigh in on that race. As the chair of the school committee, he automatically gets that role because of being the mayor. I mean, that I don't know how that's going to help because they already had a very contentious 2-year term this last term. It was not a happy school committee this last 2 years. So
no.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Do district races first in city council?
Joanna, I'm sorry if I said is Ashland. I'm sorry. I always said island. So she probably has been letting me say that and could not corrected me. So thank you for correcting me on that pronunciation, Joanna.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Is does Maureen do as well? I mean, the name recognition is huge. Anybody that's paying attention, I can't imagine. If folks are paying attention to the way she's behaved in the school committee, which has been atrocious. I mean, just just vengeful against Monrez. You know, I just can't. I can't see if we see 10,000 votes again. I might leap off a bridge.
I mean, it's a really good question. It's hard to really think about the voter totals because it's so low that we don't really know the real interest in these races, and it's because of the placement of the election, right? So that's how I view it. You know what I mean? I view it as if the percentage is similar, it's going to be really hard because the people who vote in that percentage. But it's if you're getting new voters in, then it's a different. Then I can't even predict it. I can't make a prediction. My thoughts are based on things staying similar to how they have been.
Yeah.
Although I will say this. It seems to me that the more, I guess, people-centric group, because I'm really getting sick of the terms progressive and liberal and conservative. I'm like really sick of all those terms because they just don't really fit everybody right. But the more, I guess the people, the ones who seem to care more about people than companies, the people seem more excited and enthusiastic than the companies people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Community oriented and trickle down. I mean, we could play this naming game for a while.
That's an even good divide. Yeah, that's 100% right. You know, because one of the things that I brought this up the other day to Candy. I actually asked this to Candy. I said, I don't really see any small businesses other than people you're related to or related to John as a small business that I've seen you out in front of. Generally, when I see her, she's in front of the big companies with Joe and with the city manager and with Kathy. Like it's the same kind of thing. And so it like celebrating Hanover Insurance is not celebrating a small business. Hanover Insurance is a multi-billion-dollar company. Like you know what I mean? Like they're not a small company. So it's hard to like. I don't. And in her mind, she is now. She's been super critical. Well, we'll talk about District 2 in a minute, but she's been super critical of CSX, so I guess that's good. But I don't see the people celebrating the small businesses in the way I do certain people. And then in the school committee races, people celebrating families and students versus celebrating, top-down governance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's do. We'll get there in a second. Let's do District 1 first. Attempting to return to his seat formerly held, Tony Economou and Keith Linares. I'd first like to say, Jenny, because
I think if there was going to be one endorsement that I wanted to hear from it, it was probably Jenny. I'm sad to see Jenny go. I think Jenny was a first-term person who was really good-hearted and had great intentions in that race, and I think that she was abused, and I think I throw the abuse towards Jenny really at the feet of the mayor because he allowed those officers on the December 18th city council meeting that wasn't a riot. He allowed them to threaten her. This was something that we've talked about in multiple situations, like the difference between Mo Bergman said this to Manny on his that threatening a vote. And they did threaten Jenny. I hope if Mo is watching that, he goes back and listens to those comments from the officers and the officers' wives, specifically targeting Jenny. I was sitting there, so I heard them myself. And then, of course, when I went out into the hallway with Maria and Tom and C, I heard the same rhetoric in the hallway, which was that they were going to, vote out Jenny, or they wanted her to vote for them, or all this other stuff that they were doing. And then since then, you kind of saw Jenny drift away. And I would also say on the liberal side, don't let me just blame it on one side. On the liberal side, when Jenny has, made, I don't know that she's voted against any large bills, but I guess she's made some votes that they didn't like. And on the liberal side, the progressive side in particular, they have hammered Jenny. And so, maybe you might have missed out on an opportunity to have a very thoughtful, consistent voice in District 1 by kind of driving her out. So I think it's at the feet of the mayor and the feet of the a lot of voters here in the city of Worcester pushing Jenny out. So you're gonna miss her thoughtful, her willingness to write down notes for everybody who was speaking. And Jenny answers the phone. So the outside investigation, yeah, that's right. That's the one that everybody got upset about. And I guess I guess I want to talk about that vote. And that vote is that she didn't vote against an outside investigation. She voted against a recommendation because the city council has no power to initiate an outside investigation. And so it's you gotta like, the city manager had already indicated very clearly that he wasn't going to do it, even if it was voted for. He had made that, he said it on the floor twice that night. I will take it under advisement if it's voted for. So he was indicating that he was probably never going to do it. And the city council doesn't have the power to tell him to do it unless they threaten his job. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do not have the power to.
Yeah, they don't have the implicit power, right? I mean, they have the power to tell him to do anything they want, because they just say or else. But you need 6 votes. You need 6 votes for the or else.
Yeah. And by the way, I agree with you, Joanna, about the vote. I think the vote, again, was a symbolic vote that probably should have been taken. And I wish it had been unanimous. And I also wished Candy had taken the opportunity to directly address it when she was given that opportunity on the floor multiple times. And she did not. And so, that's something that still kind of hovers over there. But the response and the way that people went after Jenny, I'm all set. Yeah, I agree. You can be against the vote, but threatening her and her family, that's the stuff that people complain about from the right, but they're doing it on the left. You can't have both. You can't have both sides. You just can't. Either you're for. I saw the threats myself online. I saw them on Facebook. I saw them on Reddit. I saw them in various communities where they were literally going after Jenny. And then, of course, there was there was phone calls and there was text messages and all this other stuff, which, we decry when Kate Toomey talks about it. But what happened to Jenny was wrong, in my opinion. Which, by the way, that just took away from Keith and Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say. So what you got is facts, Jamie. Facts. So, I think Keith is running a good campaign. He's gone after some of the things that Tony has said. He hasn't been psychotic about it, but he hasn't gone after him like personally. But when Tony hedged on the lowest tax rate, he went after him. He highlighted it, went after his opponent's positions, which I think is good. And we don't see enough of that. We don't see any real engagement on the actual issues. It's all fluffy nonsense. So that's good. I think he's running, for a first-time candidate, running a really good campaign. I think he's going to be overtaken by name recognition and previous history. And so, anybody that wants to, castigate Jenny, well, you're going to get Tony Economou, who, Tony's a nice guy. I met with him. I had coffee with him just before Jenny announced that she wasn't going to run. And, he's a good dude, but politically he's terrible.
He's going to vote for the police no matter what. And
the tongue bathing he gave the police department at the debate. Just the cognitive dissonance to, we have 2 candidates in District 3 that both say they didn't even read the damn DOJ report.
Yeah. Tony basically called Chief Saucier a liar by saying that it was from what he could tell, it was complete nonsense, not recognizing that Chief Saucier has admitted that several of the things in the report are true.
Because we're never going to get that written report.
Right. You're never going to get that, Tom? What's that coming?
Yeah, 17 years from now.
So the other thing, too, is that, and this is, District 1, we've been through, so Sean Rose, when he first won, I think District 1 sometimes rewards people for being active versus people assuming they're going to win. And I think we just saw that 3 terms ago when Sean Rose won, that Sean Rose was a very active candidate, and then won it over someone who assumed that they were just going to win. And I think that Tony, his approach to this campaign, wow, that was the biggest cloud of smoke I've ever seen in my life. That was amazing. On a Zoom screen, it was awesome. It was just like it was. So, but Tony has been at very few public events. I know he's been to the neighborhood meetings a couple times. I saw him there at one. From all appearances, he has not done much door knocking. He's done a lot of standouts. He's a standout guy. And then a lot of just leaning on traditional, what used to be Tony's voters kind of thing. Like he just assumes. Problem is that District 1 has definitely had a demographic shift in the 2015? 2015, right? When was the last time he was there? 2015.
Has it been that long? Maybe.
Either 10 years or maybe 8 years since he was the District 1 counselor. I think there's been a change in District 1. So I don't know. I think Keith has a shot. A lot of the traditional media have been treating Tony as if he was an incumbent, but this is an open seat. So I haven't heard that, Emma. So that's the first time. Like we've been covering this the whole season. That's the first time anybody said that to me. So,
could have missed it.
Yeah, could have missed it. That's the first time. But I have seen Keith everywhere. So we'll see. I don't know. I think I view it as an open seat, not an incumbency situation. So I rated a toss up. That's my rating here.
Fair enough. District 2, I think, is the biggest toss up. Rob Bellotto running for a second time. Candy took some hits in this 2-year session of the council. Rob's run a good campaign again, and brought some experience, of course, that he learned from last time. I think this is the biggest toss up probably on the ballot.
So there's two things, and I saved this for tonight because there's one thing that I am a Clark graduate. And as you know, Candy has proposed the tax or the non-binding question on the colleges participating in
naked election play, because that's never going to happen.
So I can tell you this: the Clark Alumni Association has organized bands of Clark alumni to campaign against Candy in District 2. I know because I was sent that email. That is not normal.
No,
because Clark is ultra generally the kind of the conservative. They tend to be towards the corporation groups. I know there's been some Clark graduates, that have been very public that are probably not associated with them, like me. But that was new. So that was an interesting little development that I saw. And then I really look back to the issue with the billboard. Candy never really ran in that area. If you know the kind of borderline between District 1 and District 2, that was never an area that Candy focused on. So when she put so much attention into the billboard and going to the planning board meeting and all the energy that she put into that, that was an indication that she needed new votes, in my opinion. And so that means I feel like Rob is getting in. And then I've told this story many, many times, and it continues to blow me away. I've seen Rob on Grafton Street, on Belmont Street, uphill in his wheelchair, door knocking by himself. I've also seen him with groups of people, and that is mind-boggling to me. And so I think Worcester usually rewards that. And so I'm hopeful to see if Worcester continues its tradition of rewarding people. I think Rob will offer a completely unique perspective. He would be the first person with a significant disability to ever serve in city council, right? And so it would force, at minimum, city council to have to do things that they don't do. For example, where the placement of the door is. right? Is how's Rob gonna access that? Those kind of there's a lot of stuff they just have to think about that they wouldn't normally have to think about, and I think that would be a good thing for our city, just to make people have to be thoughtful because someone else needs a little bit more help doing stuff. Although Rob is super capable on his own, that's a unique perspective that I don't have, right? And you don't have, and other people don't. So it'd be interesting to see that. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So Jaime's confirming some of that stuff in the chat there. The door knock. And his campaign's been robust. He's got a huge, as you can see in the chat, he's got a huge volunteer group. Yeah. Very, very excited, very enthusiastic. And so, Clark doesn't have an endowment of $1 billion, Fred. You just made that up. That's completely made up. You're just making that up. It's not even remotely close. So I know because I'm an alumni. And I just got the Clark magazine the other day. I think it's at five. It's still a lot of money. It's like 560 million, but we have yet to hit $1 billion endowment for Clark.
As of May 31st, 2025, 501 million. So you were 50% off. So yeah, I think that's the biggest one to watch. I think, at least of the district races. The at-large race is a little bit of a different dynamic, but it's if you want to think about it as the factions in council. I mean, if Rob wins that one, we're probably looking at worst 6-5. With the current majority still in place, and that's at worst. And I think something could happen at large as well. District 3, just an unmitigated disaster.
So I said this before the show, and I'm going to say it out loud again. And Mr. I've seen John, Mr. Fasolo, take this however you want to take. All right, if you want to be mad at me, be mad at me. I don't really care at this point. The two of you are both maniacs. I think there's a real strong chance that John Fasolo wins, there's also a chance that he gets arrested at some point during his city council term for fistfighting someone in city council. And so there's a chance that we would get to experience both Mr. Fasolo and Mr. Pizzella in this term. So we could look forward to that in the District 3 seat. I have no idea who's going to win. I don't know. I don't know at all. I haven't met anybody who's like an open. I see there's some very specific supporters of both men who hate each other like poison. It is ultra anger between those two groups. But I have no idea what either of them stand for, other than they both hate people. I mean, that's very clear. And then obviously, we've talked about. John. Rob Pizzella, his record as the security chief at one point for Maureen and then he used to work for Mariano. So again, another old legacy dinosaur from the past. John Pizzella was a district representative for many, many years and got caught up in some weird stuff, including a very strange night in the cemetery years ago. A lot of very strange stuff. I have no idea who's going to win.
Yeah, just for the Monfredo connection, I'd like to see Frizzola lose, but I don't necessarily want to see Frizzola win.
Yeah.
It's a disaster either way. It's an unmitigated disaster either way. I guess, as somebody said, Frizzola is the funniest option available. So maybe that, but I just could not be more indifferent, really.
Yeah.
Slightly more pro Pizzella losing, but I don't want to see either one of them win. God help us if nobody runs against whoever the hell wins next time around.
Yeah, I just look at Rob as representing this kind of culture of not giving Heather her voice, and so that's really, I really don't want that voice back in. He's also expressed many, many times this hard-nosed approach to the schools and policing in schools and discipline in schools. And then his record for discipline in the school system is decidedly racist. It is what it is. The numbers don't lie. The last one I read was like 80 something percent of the kids that he pursued discipline against were, of color. And so that number, and of course the school doesn't have those numbers exact, so that's just a guess. It's not a fully vetted out number. But the if you could just go look at the students, gathering against this dude, it's just too much at this point. And I wouldn't want him to win. But I also don't want John to win. But it looks like I guess one or the other. It is what it is. It sucks for the city of Worcester, and I blame
Yes.
I blame Fianna for all of this. This is all Fianna's fault. Fianna should have run.
I do not blame Fianna.
No, I'm just harassing Fianna. That's it. I'm just harassing her. All right, so we move on to a much nicer race.
Yes. District 4, incumbent Louis Ojeda and
Ted Costas.
And Ted Costas. Look, Ted's a nice guy. I don't think he's going to shut it now.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing Ted being able to. I just have a hard time seeing Ted getting the votes that he would need. And I also feel like, again, I've been to several of the Louis events. I've also seen Louis go. So that debate inside the bar that we went to, the Nero's, whatever it is, right? That's a very kind of Ted area. So I felt in that moment that Louis really kind of showed that he's willing to go into an area where he's outnumbered. And of course, there was a guy there that was a jerk to him. So I think Louis is going to win. His incumbency seems strong. And then of course we had a 12-year track record of Sarai Rivera winning pretty consistently, and she's supporting Louis again pretty openly. Of course, that seat has never really had super competitive races except for last time, Cafe Neo. I'm sorry, super competitive races except for last time. That was the first time in a long time. Generally, it's just not a district that a lot of people vote in. So I'm hopeful. It's my district, and I'm hoping everybody comes out and votes. Let's see some people out there. I'm the warden at the YMCA again, so come see me and get your voting on. I hope to see a ton of people voting on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as Louis voting, I mean, I think, for my personal taste, his votes have been there almost all the time. I don't see any, certainly criticisms of him, but I don't, from people in the district, but I don't see, any big wins giving the, limited turnout there.
Again, I mean, he's obviously he's a Hispanic man on the council. Having that perspective on the council, I think, is an important one. And he offers a different background, high school, gym person, then assistant principal, basketball coach for many, many years. And also someone who's lived in District 4 his entire life. Again, someone who's very connected with that community. He knows the city. And so it's just, I find his perspective to be interesting. And I also prefer a person who openly admits that he's still learning. And I like that about Louis. He said that more than one time where he said that he's learning. And I have, I don't want to tell you which one because we're trying not to do that. But I think you probably guess who I'm voting.
And then in District 5, a race that was extraordinarily close last time around, and a repeat of incumbent Atal Hajiai and Jose Rivera. I thought Jose had a lot more momentum last time around, personally.
Yeah.
I know that a certain sector of the city is, really really grinding on the Eureka Street stuff. I think by and large, and then the difference is how does it play in that district specifically. I think across the city, by and large, people look at Attell's behavior on that day at Eureka Street as completely respectable.
If not heroic.
Yeah, really. And the funny thing is, despite all of PBA local 911 president Thomas Duffy's nonsense about that. If you talk to the police officers that were there, it was a whole bunch of nothing. It was a bunch of women, and nobody was really nervous or although outnumbered, nobody was concerned at all. So it's basically a creation of that douchebag that runs that union.
And also there's this tonality from some of those particular local police leaders where they're like, if someone's ever assault a police officer, we got to take them down. Bro, at worst, somebody might have went like that to you.
Yeah.
That's not assault. It's not what we understand to be assault. There was definitely no intent. It was a crazy scene. But the thing that strikes me is that the narrative to try to change the actual details of what happened consistently from that group. It's always moving, shifting goalposts. So just real quickly, I'd like to just do a real quick connection of what it is. So Roseanne was actually a legal resident. She was a pending asylum case who had a hearing for that asylum case the following Tuesday. So she was never an illegal immigrant. Never at any point did she enter the country illegally. She applied for asylum. That's a fact. Fact number one. Fact number two is that the ICE did not tell the police department. So if there's going to be one thing I'm going to give the police department like a slight pass on, is that ICE descended on that neighborhood with absolutely no warning, with men wearing masks and carrying, guns and locking 2 children in a car. That's what happened. That is the factual case of what happened. They locked 2 children in the car and they did not allow them to come out of that car. And they completely, that's kidnapping under our state law. So they kidnapped somebody without a basis for it. Again, she was a legal immigrant with a pending asylum case. Then when the activists got there, the immediate response to the activists, and now you have to go back in time and look at all the cameras, but the very first camera that you can see, and thank goodness for cell phones, is before Attell got there, was several people asking them, do you have a warrant? Can you identify yourself? That's what took place. And those officers, ICE soldiers, whatever, responding with aggression and fear tactics and escalation, all the things that we want our police department not to do, they did. So they created the chaos. They created the anger. They created all of those things. Then people got there, and again, you already had children upset. You already had a woman upset. You already had the officers inciting more anger, more upsetness. So as the crowd began to gather and people began to come out to support this family who was being destroyed publicly by our government, it got agitated. But again, if you look at it, it wasn't anything that I have a problem with. I didn't see anybody punching anybody. I didn't see anybody taking out a sword. There was no deployment of drones that could shoot lasers. We had a woman of short stature. I'm not trying to say you're short, Attell, but it is what it is. Short stature, put her body on the line for a child. That's what took place. That is the crux of everything that we saw. And then our police department arrived and escalated it even more. That's what happened. And then eventually, obviously, we saw a child slammed on the ground with absolutely no thought into the thing. You had a teenager seeing her mother handcuffed, and they knew that it was wrong. And it turns out that they were right. ICE was wrong 100%. And if you say that they weren't, you are just delusional. That's it. There's no more arguing at this point. I'm not going to cancel you. The facts are she was a legal resident with a pending asylum case, and so were her children. They were all legal residents. Nobody was illegal in any way, shape, or form, and the term just is stupid anyways. But the fact is they all had pending legal resident statuses, all of them. And so it was a completely unnecessary thing, by the way, which would have been solved by the hearing that was scheduled on the following Tuesday. On the following Tuesday. That's what happened. And then since then, our city's government has participated in an abject farce of charging. First of all, don't forget that they originally arrested, after slamming her on the ground, the teenage girl, and Ashley and Attell. But they arrested a child first. They'll never get that back. That was their decision-making process. We're going to arrest this 16-year-old because she's a violent criminal, and she assaulted the police officers. How did she assault? I've seen the whole video. I've seen every body camera video. They charged her with assault, Tom. It's just so ridiculous, this whole situation. So the fact is that Jose had the opportunity to do something completely unique and completely different in our city's history, and that is to offer a healing voice. And he could have made this race just about the bike lanes, but he didn't. He let his proxies make it about this and attacking Attell and running her down and doing all those things. And that's what he did. And, he's been combative. He's lied a bunch of times. Recently, this past week, he's been lying about Manny. Let me tell you, I have spoken to Jose 20 times this year, asking him to come on the show. He refused to come on the show. He always said, "Oh, we'll talk about it," or "Talk to me in a couple weeks," or "Get a hold of me." That's how he said no, but he never wanted to come on. He never had any intention of ever coming on. Just like Donna, just like Maureen. They didn't want to come on the show, and that's okay. They don't have to come on. But then to say that Manny didn't ask him, well, we got the receipts, buddy. We got your emails, we got your phones, we got your texts, we got your Facebook messengers. We got it all saved, so you lied. And so he can't even tell the truth about Manny's show. Let alone the big stuff like Natalie's Neighborhood, like the development on Park Avenue, all these other things. Those things were all fabricated, literally. And then, of course, it got caught with Walter. I'm sorry, man. It's just so many things, just a tremendous amount of things. He's a liar, a definitive on-the-record liar. And you could take all the politics parts out. That is what his legacy is in the two times he's run for office here in our city, of not telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I found so I interviewed him during the race 2 years ago, and it's still up on the site somewhere. But I found a guy who was much different than his campaign portrayed him as, and I think that that's largely true again.
I will say at the District 5, okay, hold on. Let me talk about that Park Avenue parcel. So Natalie, I know about you that you were part of the opposing, but let me say this. That is another property, again, owned by the Kroc family, who has left that area fallow for 40 years. It's not that since Cactus Pete's was torn down, right? Now, remember Cactus Pete's, everybody? There's been no development on that area other than parking trucks in front of that little thing for decades. And so to say that it's somehow Attell's fault that the property owner who has never cleaned that area, it's been disgusting behind Antonio's, and yes, they built a Walgreens, but part of the reason that Walgreens got built, right, is because that was partially owned by someone else. So that wasn't completely owned by the same parcel owner. So that's part of the reason that Walgreens got leverage. So anyways, that whole thing, that little video, I saw the video, Natalie, I saw the post. Again, just not true by this person. And I just don't know who's telling him that this is a good idea. because obviously I mean, Natalie's lived there for a long time, but the Big Y neighborhood, also Natalie provided me with all of that information. I have all those documents and the approach to the city and all that stuff. I mean, it's just it's just lies. Don't know what else to say. Like, and the receipts are there for decades, guys, decades. So it's just, again, it's nonsense, abject and utter nonsense. So I can't see that the people that live around Big Y are going to be voting in his direction. Just can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, just based on nothing but feel, but I don't think it's going to be as close as it was last time.
Yeah. And again,
I mean, and mind you, we have no polling data or any data so this is just on feel. It could be totally wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Natalie, the gas station. Yeah, and again, I will say this, that the Clark family would never have allowed it as an abutting person, because they have just held everybody down, holding the city hostage for this multi-zillion-dollar payment that's never going to come because the brownfields and the gun store hasn't been cleaned. Yes, I was going to say that as you posted it. The Brownfields Remediation Act, the last estimate that I saw, I think, was $18 million to clean that land. And so they want the state to do it. And they want the state to do it, and that's not going to happen.
And then at large, I think we might actually see. Well, obviously there's a seat open, which I think you can probably slot Gary Rosen in. He's been incredibly active. He's well known. People like him. Yeah, so I mean, I think you give the open seat to Gary, and I think the question is really comes down to Gemma or Donna Clorio for the 6th seat, based on what the preliminary results. I know Satra Mitra has a ton of money. I just don't see. I just haven't seen anybody excited about it that aren't chamber people, really.
Yeah, I mean, so I would like to say that I don't know. I want to be open-minded, because again, I see a lot of enthusiasm behind several candidates, right? And I just want to give them all like I just want to at least talk about them a little bit. So I would say Dr. Peppel. I did not know Dr. Peppel until I saw her. I saw her in public, but I didn't know her like fully, her background or anything like that, until she went on Manny's show. I found her to be super engaging, very different perspective. Again, something that we don't have on city council. So that I thought Dr. Peppel did a really good job. I think that Caden Davis has given a completely different campaign style. The TikTok generation, I guarantee, is enjoying Caden, and Caden's rap songs.
Hysterical.
They're hysterical. But I would say this: I don't know if they're the best songs of this campaign cycle, because Nat Needles, you gotta vote for Rob Bellata song, is pretty awesome. So it's between the maybe we should have a vote on that. Nat Needle versus Caden Davis's raps. I don't know. I'm not sure who's won in that battle. But I find Caden's brightness to be. I like that. I like, you guys all know that I like to be happy, and I like that about Caden. And I would say that I also think Caden, as far as a first-time candidate, super prepared to answer any question about any policy, knows Worcester. So, I just want to say that. And then obviously Gemma Kamara, we've talked about Gemma a bunch on this show.
She is the hardest working girl in show business.
She is literally everywhere. I saw her the other day by Indian Lake, walking that turn. I saw her, and then the same day I saw her up on the back end of WPI, and I was like, "How did you even get here?" That's a long walk. That's a long walk. There's some hills. There's some hills in Worcester, Tom. I don't know if you knew that.
I heard something about that.
Yeah, I heard something about that. So I'll give Gemma, and then Aurora. I saw again a new person. I know that they ran last time for mayor, but I just didn't really see him And then so I've now gotten to see him more in the mayor's debates, but also he went on Manny's show and kind of talked. Again, we need new people and new ideas in general. And I would say to anybody, if you don't finish in the top 6 this time, don't give up, because we need new voices and people pushing, and again, and a backbench, so to speak, of people that are willing to step up and be a part of it. And obviously, I don't know who lives in District 3, but District 3 needs a new person.
Oh my God.
So, by the way, what happens if both people, if Fasolo wins, and then has to step out? I think the rule is Pizzella would go in, right?
Yeah.
So then, if Pizzella had to step out, who would go in then?
Actually, I don't know.
Would it be the highest voted at large person?
No. I almost want.
Did they leave it open, or they have a special election?
I don't think there's a special election. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So then Edson, again, I saw Edson. He's punching somebody. Oh my goodness! Not Edson. Not Edson. Not Edson.
Not Edson.
He's not talking about Edson. So, I've gotten to know Edson and Holly, over the past couple of years. I get along with them, and again, I think that our city. So I think what Edson offers is a little bit different than what Louis Ojeda offers, in that Edson is a man with an accent, and a Hispanic man with an accent, and so I think people, especially who look like us, Tom, find that difficult to overcome, right? And I think that that's a big detractment for our city, that we don't engage with people who sound different than us too. And so I think giving people an opportunity to speak and to talk and to share their ideas instead of just assuming things. So I think Edson's done a good job. I've seen Edson a lot too.
Agree.
Been out there in a lot of places. And then you mentioned Dr. Mitra. Dr. Mitra is just spending money. I have yet to see him doing any door knocking. I have seen him on standouts in 2 places. So in the border down by Shrewsbury, and then downtown, like a little bit towards the 110 Grill. Like, those are the 2 places I've seen him. That's it. I haven't seen him anywhere else. I don't know if anybody else has seen him other places. But I tell you what, Dr. Mitra, if you're watching, stop sending me text messages. I'm aggravated about the text messages. I didn't sign up for that. And that's really bothering me, the people who keep sending me text messages. I hate the text messages. Stop what? Stop what, Jaime? Are you hearing what I'm saying?
They're going to be behind. They're going to be a few seconds behind.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about. But the text messages is just annoying and aggravating. And I don't know if Worcester voters are going to give I just don't know if they're going to give a seat in that race to someone who doesn't do the work. And so that's really something that's been. Now, I know Donna's won without a ton of on the ground presence for many years, but that's a different thing because of the Republican base. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a different group. So it's hard to, it's not you can't compare it in the same group, because I just don't know that the people who vote for Donna vote for Dr. Mitra, but maybe they're mixed because it's chamber stuff or whatever. I just don't want another chamber person on the council, is really where I'm at. And he's literally a board member of the chamber. So it's it's not just like his company is in it. He's an actual member. And I just don't think that they should be. To be honest with you, I wish we could make a law where those people couldn't run. But I don't think that that's constitutional. So, out goes the door to that. And so did we hit everybody?
Yeah. I mean, so I agree on Caden 100%. He's been awesome. He should, if doesn't work out this time, should definitely make another run at it, because I think he probably built a good base. I agree with most of everything you said, really. I guess the wild card could be is if Aurora is elevated by the mayor run and that puts him, in contention for that 6th seat. I don't think there's any doubt that Councilors King, Bergman, Toomey, and of course the mayor will be back. I don't think there's much question about that.
He used to be the head of the chamber. I don't know what that means. Because Tim Murray's been the head forever.
Since 2015.
Was he the executive? Of course, you would say that, Fred.
Yeah.
Not knowing how much they've hurt your life.
Yes, yeah. That's what we need as lobbyists in office. How wonderful.
I don't even want to. Anyways,
more trickle down economics that has driven our poverty rate to over 20%.
I don't know who I praised that brought no substance. I don't know what Jamie's talking about.
Me neither.
But okay. I must have missed something.
So yeah, but I think and maybe a lot has changed since the preliminary, and I'm being biased toward the preliminary, but I think my best guess at a prediction is, is Gary is 5, and it's Donna Calorio and Gemma Kamara, who's in the 6th.
I hope
it's Eisen. I think Eisen's done a great job.
I hope it. Okay. He is there. There must be an issue with Jaime, and that's, and I don't know.
Oh.
So I'm right now I'm not reporting about personal. If there is stuff between people, I'm just talking about what I've seen, and I've seen him out there. And so I've seen him out there. That's it. I got to go by people I see knocking on the doors. That's been my consistent. Yeah, but the city doesn't pay him directly, Fiona. So.
Yeah, and that's about being employed.
Yeah, but I would assume that he would have to step down from that role if he got city council, but maybe not. I don't know, because he would have to recuse himself from a billion things that are related to the chamber constantly.
Yeah. Gary's a friend and a great dude, and is better on the issues than, anybody in the majority now. That's for sure. Is he my ideal candidate? No.
Yeah, I would say that. But like, there's some things that Gary would become the swing vote on that would be against the current majority, and yes. I understand what you're saying, Ashley. That there's some things where he's not in that field at all, but there's certain, like, for example, I'll tell you this. A great example is this: the Civilian Review Board. He would allow it to be voted on. I don't know where he would land. I'm pretty sure he'd vote against it, but he would actually let it get to the floor. Whereas Mo wants to file it. Do you understand, like, the difference between the two? At least it has a chance if it actually makes it to the floor. And also, I think that if Gary gets in, he might become. I don't remember when Dr. Mitra was chairman of the chamber. I didn't know that he was. So that's new information to me. But what I'm saying is, Gary can also be worked on. Yes, I love how our chat is reacting live. That's kind of cool. So yeah, Gary can be lobbied by people. Like, if people go to Gary, he can be lobbied, and so I think you might find him to be a person that I don't know. I don't know that. I'm a little confused by that. I don't know all that stuff.
Yeah, the city does not pay the president of the chamber. The membership fees do.
Yeah.
Tim Murray wouldn't be giving himself the raises he's been giving himself if the city was paying.
Yeah. So, the last race obviously is the mayor.
Yeah. I think Christian's run a great race. Better than 2 years ago, for sure. I think far and away better than 2 years ago. I don't think he's going to win.
I don't know. Again, this comes down to excitement and enthusiasm, and so it is a numbers game thing. If all things being the same and the percentages stay the same, Joe Petty has he's just been a dominant force in Worcester politics for a long time. And so 20 years on the council, 14 years as mayor. So, and I know a lot of you have issues with individual people, right? So I get that, and that's fine, and you're allowed those thoughts. I think there is something to be said in 2025 when there's a first thing, right? When it's the first to do this or the first to do that, because it doesn't make sense that in Worcester that the first black mayor would be this late in the game, right? Because we had black city councils back in like 100 years ago, which is just wild to me to know that that's the case. And then there was this long period of time when there was no one, and then obviously Stacey Luster, and then now Christian. And so I think that that would be a remarkably different thing. A big thing that we don't talk about enough, Tom, is the committee assignments. And how much soft power that is. And then, of course, being also the chair of the school committee and the committee assignments there, again, soft power that you have to manipulate what comes to the floor. And so I think that what you could say between the two, and I don't want to dismiss Aurora. It would be really hard. Aurora needs to come up with 11,000 votes. And I just don't know that that's a number that he can get to. If he can, great, and then that'll be a completely different situation on Tuesday night, and we'll all be in awe. But it's really, I think it comes down to Joe Petty and Christian, and so Christian would be completely different than Joe in the assignments.
Yes.
And so
we'd
that's
actually
really,
have somebody who was awake on the public safety committee, for example.
And I think for sure, I think there's a chance if Gary ends up in the at-large race that we may have a change in the public safety committee chair. There's a chance because Gary is openly advocating for it, and generally, when Gary was on the council in the past, Gary got whatever he wanted from Joe. It is what it is. So whatever Gary wanted, he ended up getting. So, maybe I don't know. I mean, they've been so decidedly positionally different. So I have a hard time seeing that. At least policy-wise, they're very, very opposite of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what the result is going to be. Again, I'm trying not to influence. I want people to go out and vote. I want people to get excited, and I want, I don't want to tell people that they can't vote for who they want to. I agree that the chair, that's something I've talked about before, that the chair should not be the same chair repeatedly. It just doesn't make any sense for such a short-term position to be, Kate Toomey's been the chair for 10 years, and obviously Tom has written extensively about the stuff that she didn't even do. She just didn't do stuff for 10 years straight, let alone the fact that she schedules every meeting at 5:00, which guarantees that no matter what, the meeting is going to be compressed up against the city council meeting on that Tuesday.
Yeah, you just want to do a job, right?
So never really giving people a true opportunity to engage in it, because again, most people can't make it at 5:00. I have a hard time getting there at 5:00. Most people do, and it's a hard thing to do. And so it would be nice to have a change of pace in there, and just have someone who is open to listening to the people who come in.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go to that meeting and you speak and you say something that the chair doesn't like, you could be 30 seconds in and she just shuts it down. I mean, she's a tyrant.
Yeah.
And just a bad person, really.
Okay. All right. Apparently the chairman is a different position than president and CEO. Cool. I did not know that. That is new news, and I'm glad that someone helped us to understand that. But I do know that the city does not pay that position.
No,
not directly.
No.
They may don't. Does the city donate money to the chamber?
No, I don't think so. But they do to chamber projects like the food.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, in my dreams, there's 40% turnout, and we have a changing of a sea change in the city. because I do believe if this was a presidential year, that it would be a no doubt, no brainer, complete utter change. If it was on the even numbered years, I think everything would change. If it was next year, it would be a sea change. But because the lower turnout and just the lack of enthusiasm from people, I'm worried about what it'll look like, and I'm worried that there are some people that look at that and go, that's a mandate for the same thing to be the policy, and that is completely utter nonsense. That is not saying that the whole city I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
The champion of the status quo, a champion of no oversight of the police, and every bad position that is accompanying the majority of our city council has arrived in the chat.
No, Fred, I would want it to start later, Fred, because that allows more people to be. People should be allowed to speak. Again, the city council, this version of the city council has moved away from people being able to speak. They're playing games with the petitions that happened to you, Fred. You were denied your opportunity to speak by this council. That was this council's decision-making process. This council empowered the city manager and the clerk to stop people from talking, stop people from engaging on the agenda. As Tom's reporting talked about, 700+% higher than it had been in the time period before that. So I mean, I want a more open, transparent. Mo said that, and Manny's things like, I'm going to be open and transparent. Well, but you're not.
Yeah, no, because you don't want to. Yeah, right. Because I mean, and let's be honest about what that is all about. Is they don't want to have to take tough votes.
Yes, and so we saw that. We saw that this year, and I hope people remember this. One of the key things that happened this year was when there was the protest in May, late May, and the city council was shut down. Which, by the way, that was the mayor's choice to shut it down. He did not have to. He chose to do that, and he chose to end the session. That was his decision. So you can't blame the protesters on that.
Now, and there's a key point there. Procedurally, they didn't hold the rest of the things on the agenda, so they had no choice but to come back and restart the same meeting, which means that nothing could be added to the agenda, which means they just threw another meeting away.
Completely. And by the way, the mayor and the chairman of the council has the ability to call a city council meeting whenever he wants.
Yep. He did it actually. It was actually the beginning of, let's go back in history a little bit. It was actually the beginning of the real rise of conflict with Councilor Nguyen, because Councilor Nguyen held the city manager's an item on the city manager's contract, which would have sent them into the new year. And the city manager would have had to go all of like 8 days without a contract. And all they would have had, they would just had to back pay him his raise, right? Like for like a week or 2 weeks or something. And the mayor, instead of just allowing so Councilor Nguyen held the item. And so the mayor decided, I'm going to schedule a meeting on a Friday so we can do this, so I can just stream it to Nguyen that there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And that was really the beginning of the problem.
And by the way, if he had to work without a contract, it wouldn't have changed his pay. His pay would have stayed at the rate that he was. And it would have been continued until the contract was
and then they could have just back paid him.
Yeah, it could have been 7 months later, and he would have just gotten a check for all the missed pay. That's it. It did no matter what, it was going to happen. But again,
so it had nothing to do with the city manager. That had to do with the mayor.
It was the mayor
telling a sitting city council, you have no power, screaming right in her face, you have no power.
It was a power grab, a power display, a weird flex, as the kids say.
Yeah.
I love the kids. I agree. I think the city manager's salary is wildly out of proportion with the reality of Worcester. That and all the $200,000 police captains. We have salaries that are just, the structure of our budget is just wild.
Well, I mean, the police stuff is a little complicated because we get details and overtime and whatever. But to pay the city manager of Worcester, within a few percentage points of the city manager of Cambridge, which has, as you'd imagine, like nearly double the median household income, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And so,
and that city manager, and this is no slight against our city manager, but that city manager is also, run big stuff.
Yeah.
Before taking that job.
Yeah, and 325, yeah. And $1 million over 3 years is what it works out to be, because there's progressive raises in each year. Which is good for him. He got himself the Babe Ruth deal, as I pointed out.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Right. You shouldn't blame him. He got what he could get. It was the people that gave it to him that should be held dead of the problem.
Yeah. I hold them accountable. And I don't know if there was a robbery. I think it was handed to him. Just not,
Yeah,
what I mean?
Really.
It wasn't like he was negotiating again. If you went to those meetings, and I went to some of those meetings, when Mo Bergman, what's that? Municipal Operations is what does that.
Yeah.
There was no negotiation. There was just a presentation by Mo. Mo brought all the points to the floor, and there was really nothing that the city manager did but say, yeah.
And I mean, the obvious conflict of interest there. Of course, any city councilor is going to want to, do right by the city manager so they can get things done. It's the obvious conflict of interest, and that's why we should be doing this as every other government on the planet that does, or most of the governments on the planet that doesn't have this stupid government system we have. First, we should be electing the executive, because we can do that, and that salary should be set by the council and not take effect until the next term, just like it is everywhere else. But here, we have all the wrong incentive structures. Sort of like, and this is for you, Joe Haddad, sort of like all the incentive structures set up for the majority's relationship with the police unions, which is, again, they do nothing, just maintain the status quo, and give them everything they want, and anything they don't want, they just maintain the status quo. And so then they get police union support for re-election, and then predictably, the police department does whatever the hell it wants. And when that results in civil rights litigation or judgments, the taxpayers pick up the tab, which is really the majority financing their support from the police department on the backs of the taxpayer. It's horrifically corrupt.
And interestingly enough, so if you go to WorcesterElections.com, which is a part of the Worcester Sucks, empire of stuff, they have a thing on the donors, and it turns out that that the police don't give money. Very rarely. Some of the union leaders give $50 here and there, but there's no significant monetary donations to these counselors. So it's not even like they're receiving the full benefit of the donation support. There's other weird things that start to come out in the wash. People owning these buildings over here, and city contracts being awarded to this person over there, and this person's driveway being dug up, and blah, blah, blah. And it comes up to these weird flashpoints at city council meetings sometimes, where you all of a sudden see people that are traditionally associated with each other that are mad at each other. That's why I'm really interested in who is going to be offered the contract for the drones. Because I know it's not going to be Chris Williams of Cloud City Drones, because they won't go back to him. They've already told him this, because he told on himself to me all those years ago, which I think is hilarious. So they're looking.
Doesn't matter if he has the best service.
This
is another twisted thing about this city. This happens. This isn't just in this city. This happens in government in general.
By the way, I didn't realize how powerful I was that I could say one thing on a. It's just so wild, that becomes a thing. It's funny, in an article that I wrote for Tom last week on the NEPBA's new website. It's super strong union hiring a non-New England, non-union company to build their website. There you go. Nice job there. And then, of course, the Wacka This Week in Worcester and Whack John people came out of the woodwork and started hammering me with, there's no such thing as a union website. And I found 6 in 5 minutes. And just started hammering them in the thing, nope, there's 6. And the funny thing is they only do 2 websites in New England, Suffolk County sheriff and the Worcester and the NEB PBA. If you look at the towns, Tom, and all the cities, they all get their websites done by completely different people. In Worcester, the website is done by the city through the city contract. So the police website is paid for as an extension of the city's website. It's in the contract. So which is interesting because that means that part of the web portal for the police is not really in the police budget. It's very strange the way that contract is set up, which of course I wouldn't have looked at except for I went to that meeting and they started talking about transferring X to X and moving it over here, and then they did a bad job of it. So now I got to look into it. Although the guy that runs it, again, I think that sometimes when Tom and I talk, we're talking a lot of about the top person and the department heads as being bad or not doing their jobs. But there's actually some city employees that do good jobs. And so when you talk to the actual IT guy for the city, he's stuck between 2 contracts and 3 different vendors, and he's doing a great job to balance it considering what they've given him when actually talking about that situation. So very, very strange. But then they went at me for that. And so I was told by an officer, John, please don't put my name in the article because I'll get shit canned if they find out I'm talking to you during the election.
Yeah. And
then Tom was told that wasn't real.
I was. So what's interesting, and this happens a lot in government. I didn't finish my thought. Was sorry. That we value? No, not your fault. My fault. That we value that people in government like to value loyalty over ability. That's what that Cloud City Drones thing made me thought. He could be the best provider in the world, but he's not. We talk to the media.
I mean, he's the ex. If I ever have a drone question, Chris Williams is the guy I would ask because he has military contracts and he's got. The dude's a smart guy and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to drones. That's why.
But the city's really going to show him by not going to a guy who knows what he's doing. I mean, it's just moronic, just stupidity.
Right. If you remember, I think we talked about it when I did the original drone article, but. Remember what they were saying is they wanted to be part of the reason they wanted to get the drones was to be able to detect a body in the cold or in the water, right? And they needed a heat signature thing. And then Chris was the guy who said, well, if they're in the water, it doesn't matter because they can't that level of drone, the 30,000 range, doesn't detect underneath surfaces. But there is one that does, and it's one level up, but that's $100,000 drone. And then after that, the prices accelerate into these the numbers are wild. When you get into the military drones, those drones are $10-15 million a piece. They can also deploy munitions. So I mean, obviously there's a reason why, but the technology really skyrockets in price once you start adding all these techs that Mo and Kate apparently want to add. I get it. This thought, I'm going to save someone in the woods, but the price, is it even possible? With budgeting in a city of this size, you have to make decisions, and sometimes.
I mean, look. The police department is practically the Pentagon of the city. Just throw money at it. If they want it, just throw money at it because that's what's good for their reelection.
The problem with it is it's not with it's with an imaginary. It's just with an imaginary thing. You know what I mean?
No, the city is not proposing to have drones with ammunition.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. See that I did no ammunition on the drones, not that I know of. Although maybe they would deploy it for certain individuals.
Yeah, I mean, we again, this happens a lot in government, not just here, but we don't want the most capable people in the most important positions. We want people that are loyal to whoever's in charge. Let's just try being transparent and you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But that's too simple. It doesn't get the complexity of the important things that they're doing behind the scenes that they don't want us to know about. And if Joe had ads here still, because he is seen him talk about a few things online. This is also for you. I just want to talk about accountability in the police department. And I don't understand why 6 members of our city council are so opposed to a fundamentally American idea. The founders of this country built in legislative inquiry, which amounts to what we call oversight today, legislative oversight. And apparently the 6 members of our city council opposed to oversight of the police department hate America.
And yet all of them have been in various stages complaining about the shutdown. And the shutdown is fundamentally about preventing legislative oversight. Fundamentally, right. At the core, the reason they won't enter into a regular
that's so good. That's so good. Complaining about the shutdown, which is really about preventing legislative oversight. And meanwhile, you won't do any.
So, there's interesting things. Did you know? There's certain things I didn't know about Congress that's it's related to this. So the Senate there's a joint committee on military oversight between the Senate and the House, which that committee, it's called this joint whatever, goes back to the Revolutionary War. Like, this is not something that started the other day, and it's been called different things over the year. But basically, if you want to investigate the military, there's 2 components of the legislature have to come together to create this thing. And those senators and representatives that are in that, they usually get a little bit more access to documents and stuff like that. So the reason I brought that up is
security clearance.
The Civilian Review Board would just be an organization that has a little bit more access to documents and people, just like at our federal level. And so at the federal, by the way, the committee that has never ceased operations during any shutdown in our history is that committee. Okay, the Joint Committee on Military, blah, 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 blah. Although they're mad right now because Hegseth won't let them talk to generals or something right now. There's something going on there with that.
Yeah, okay.
But generally, that committee just operates by itself, which the whole idea of the Civilian Review Board is it would operate independently of city government. It would be parallel. So, because the city is going to respond to whatever's going on today. But if there's a case that needs to be investigated that can't be held every Tuesday during an hour and a half long meeting, you need more detailed orientation into it. That's really what we're talking about here. That's it. It's an independent finder of the facts, which is a phrase I stole from Tom. How do you get the facts laid out? This is how it is. Step, F.
But look, and what have I said, right? I'm actually not. I don't think civilian review boards generally work.
Right.
And that's no disrespect to. I know a lot of people in the city have been fighting for this for 50 years. But my personal opinion is they don't work. I would rather see an inspector general. But you notice nobody's even mentioned that in city council.
Because
nobody will mention it because they don't. Because an inspector general would have oversight ability over all of city government. And they really don't want that because then they might find stuff and that might reflect poorly on them. It's just a big ruse to get back to getting reelected back to their country club, which is what they defile that place as.
I would say this is that I also noticed that the city manager and the chief of police have leaked out a little bit that the Paul Saucier is engaging in his own civilian board or an advisory board.
Good for him. Good for him. He can do that.
Here's the thing about that. Let's talk about that real quick.
No, he can do that. That's just not oversight. That's management.
That's not oversight. It's just a group of people. But also, and Paul, I know you watch the show sometimes, so let's look at this. And I know you won't answer these questions if I ask them, but I'm going to say it on the TV show anyways. The fact is that you have inherent bias. Because every human being does. And you're going to go and look for advice from people who agree with you. The fact
wouldn't you if you were in that situation?
The fact is that right in front of you, right here, there's 2 guys who would disagree with you to your face and have. So if you truly are going to do an actual advisory board that involves citizens of the state, I volunteer. I'll do it. I'll do it in a second. But the thing is that you would never allow someone like me or like Tom or like Jen Gaskin or like any of the people in Maria, Natalie, just go Jaime, Giselle, Sean, like any of our people that watch here, any of the people that have participated in the thing, because we would disagree with you and we would ask you to look at things in a different way. And one of those ways being Officer Sean Tivnick, that you complained about 7 years ago. But why is he fired? Why is he fired?
Well, we don't know that he's fired. He's just gone.
He's just gone. But here's the thing about that. There's various leaks again that say that he was let go. Tom and I, in particular, and Bill Shaner as well. So the three of us probably being the primary drivers in the investigation into that. The Telegram picked it up after Tom. And so I can't give credit to Brad. This was a Tom-driven issue with the beer garden, and then Bill, and then Brad. So that's really what happened in the investigation and the reporting of the facts of that case. This officer was the guy who sicked the dog on the kid that didn't do anything wrong. And we asked back then that that's not what you should have happen. He was transferred to another department. We know that, but eventually he got back onto the dog program. Now he's gone.
But hold on. They did so like 2 months after they found that he did nothing wrong. Right. Then Chief Sergeant went back into the file, reopened it, and found him responsible for a reporting violation because the things he said that happened didn't happen. They didn't mention the other 2 cops that said the exact same thing happened, though.
The 2 cops that were face down on the ground in a pile of 8 people.
Well, no, there was the guy that was talking to Chris when it happened, right?
One of the kids was in the pile.
And one of the guys was fighting people. That wasn't that's not to criticize him for that. That was a messy night at the beer garden.
So when you're in a pile, you can see out through the pile downstream and see what the other person's face is facing. I mean, we can't,
because all this was decided before they knew that there was a video.
Right. It's such a funny case.
So in that situation, those 2 cops allege that they each gave that individual, Chris Ayala, 3 separate commands each, and he talked back every time, and that all happened within 4 seconds.
It's amazing. Amazing for it was
they were on speed talk time.
No, it was a Zach Morris 4 seconds, Tom. Remember when he used to do that, and it stop time, Zach Morris.
And the point here though is that, or a point about all of this is, like, you shouldn't expect people to comment on cases when they're ongoing. You don't talk about ongoing litigation. You just don't. Okay. And if you have an outside lawyer, like they love to do and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on them, they're going to freak out if you start talking about the case, right? They may quit even, right? Like that's a big no-no. But after these cases are over, all we get out of the city manager's office is, well, we accepted no responsibility, which that's in every single settlement that's ever existed. And then we have no further comment. So they won't talk about it. They won't review it. There's people in city government still talking about how none of the police officers, the police officer involved in the Nat Cassandra case did nothing wrong. The judge, you could read 4 sentences out of one of the decisions by the judge, and he clearly lays out the guy lied under oath. But again, the police unions told city councilors that they weren't allowed to be upset about that, and so they're not. 6 of them at least, because they're owned, and so they just never talk about it. The Committee on Public Safety has never reviewed any of these cases.
None, not one.
And she doesn't even, in 10 years, she hasn't even made up a good excuse why. She still says, "Oh, because I can't call for people to be hired and fired, or I can't micromanage the police department." But your job is to look at policy, and part of looking at policy is the effects of that policy, and sometimes the effects of the policy has been horrific crimes were committed.
How dare you, Tom? How dare you?
But the only message that we get from the majority of the city council is, police department, you're free to crime as much as you want. It's not even a police department. You know what? It's not even a police department problem. It is a city council problem. 6 members of the city council will do nothing to rein that police department
So the real so I guess the pitch again is, has any of the leaders of the community that has expressed doubt towards the city's processes, have any of those leaders been contacted?
No, you don't. In this city, you don't talk to people that you disagree with.
So like, and this is gonna be real. This is gonna be harsh, but I'm gonna do it anyways. When the Human Rights Commission was sacked by Eric Batista, because he sacked it, and he eliminated the two. I don't want to say that other members didn't do any work, but the two people that did the work in Ellen and in oh my goodness, Tom.
Oh God, I'm a blank too. I always forget her name. She's like the most awesome person alive.
It'll come to us afterwards.
Yeah.
So the two women that were the chair and the vice chair, basically the city manager got rid of them so that they could no longer pursue their stuff, and they replaced them with Guillermo Creamer and Randy Feldman. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be hard to hear to Guillermo and Randy. They might get at me for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. That means the city manager thought that you two were easier to manage.
Elizabeth O'Callahan, my God, Liz, she's amazing.
And this is no short stuff to Guillermo, but the city manager believes that you're easier to manage as the chair of that commission. And Father Jonathan was added as a regular member, but that's where, and there's an open seat that Jen Gaskin applied for, and that the city manager still hasn't filled, because he doesn't want Jen on that board. That's a fact.
Right, because he just wants everything. He just wants to shove everything under the cover. Nope, can't actually know about and then deal with problems. Why would you deal with problems when you can cover them up?
And to me, and then of course, anytime you and I have reported, or Bill has reported on stuff that is difficult for them to deal with, their pushback has been either to call us liars, which that's starting to fall on deaf ears, right? Because we're getting it all.
Yeah, I mean, people in city government lie as a profession. Okay, yes. The majority of that city council lies nonstop.
We're hitting homers, dude. Bombs, dingers, dongs. We're knocking it out of the park on a regular basis with the sourcing. And I'm sorry, Tom Matthews. Yes, I do have sources in your office, kid. People who work with you every day, dude. It is what it is. So deal with that, and deal with the fact that there's scrutiny. And those whistleblowers, because that's what they would be if there was a criminal investigation, should be protected, and the rights of the press. Unless, of course, you agree with Trump and and Congress being shut down, because part of what they've done is limit press access. So now I understand people throw these terms around all the time, like everybody's bad. I saw that a couple people said problematic in the chat. I find the word problematic to be problematic, because they start to silence people with those things, and that's not what we're trying to do here. But what we are saying is that we've been able to find things, just Tom and I, with no pay and just hard work and us being belligerent. We've been able to find things that you lied about. And it wasn't even that hard.
Nope.
Scritch.
Exactly. This. You know what's divisive? Lying. Like when you lie and say that the Post Commission is enough, like it was designed to replace local oversight. No, you just don't refuse to do your job.
Now
here's another thing. Why? Because you have the taxpayer paying for your police union support.
Dingers. Listen, so the other thing was, I heard Mo said this the other day. There's two people from Worcester that are on the Post Commission. One of them happens to be the Reverend Clyde D. Talley. So let me tell you about Clyde. I've known Clyde for a long time, and Clyde he's a good pastor at his church. But let me tell you this: Clyde is never, ever in his life. And he'll tell you this, going to look at police officers with a critical lens. He's just not. That's not what he does. That's not what he's there for. What Clyde is, and this is hard to deal with, folks. I know that this is hard. I say things sometimes and you guys come at me. But the thing is that Clyde is a black man. And he's one of a couple on that board that they wanted to put on that board. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's how the Post Commission was formed. Now, there's some people on that thing that do tremendous work, and I'm not saying Clyde hasn't done any good work. What I am saying, though, is that they pick people for a reason. Yep. Because they want to prevent certain things. Oh, Natalie, you didn't know Clyde was on that board? Natalie's going to go off now. I forgot about so there's a lot of, oh, yeah. I knew that was coming. So,
I mean, look, the appointments are made by the governor. So it was the last governor, the current governor when she was no, different Clyde.
Different Clyde.
The governor now when she was AG, and then there's some organizations are specified they get to appoint, like the Bar Association and some other associations get to appoint members. So it is a diverse appointment process, which is good, but I mean they can still stack the deck.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and I'm not saying that Post doesn't do good work, but Post's scope is very limited, and it is not what they say that it is. So, like, what Post does is, and this is, again, I know I've said this, and a couple of people have texted me like, why you keep saying that I've used this number. This is Post's own numbers. They only are able to review 5% of the public complaints that they get, because their primary mission is to deal with reporting from the individual police stations in the state. There's 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. 351. I think it's 39 cities, and the rest are towns.
No, 59 cities.
59. Okay, sorry. But anyway, so there's that's how many towns and cities. So there's just in Worcester, there's 400 plus officers. That's thousands and thousands and thousands. I have heard the rumors, Natalie. I'm intentionally not engaging with that situation. That there's thousands and thousands and thousands of officers, tens of thousands, I think, in the state, and all of their disciplinary reports are reviewed by this commission, and then they have a sub-charter thing that they do, which is people reports, right? But Tom corrected me either last week or 2 weeks ago. If you submit a report to Post, so if I submit it, the first thing they do is refer it back to the originating police agency. It's not investigated independently.
They do have their own investigators, and they will investigate cases that are problematic. If they think there's something up with them, but they don't investigate everything. They can't. They don't have the bandwidth.
So how many investigators do they have?
I don't know. I will say this about Post. I saw they did a public event here. I forget when it was, last year sometime, and the executive director was there along with the guy who leads their investigation division, and these are very serious people. I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you. I expected it to be a whole setup, and all, a show. These are extraordinarily serious people who are taking the job very seriously, and have taken the position, by the way, that constables need to be certified to use their arresting powers, which sheriffs across the state have disputed. And last I knew, Post wasn't backing down. So, that was encouraging. But again, they are not designed to replace local oversight. And you're going to hear Kate Toomey continue to say that because she's a liar, that Post is enough. But they're not. It was never intended to replace local oversight.
Okay, so according to their 2020, oops, did I do that? Did I kick you off?
No, you're there.
Okay. According to their 2024 annual report, Post has an average of 84 internal investigations per quarter. So that's like for the whole state, right? So 84, yep. And those internal investigations are preliminary. So that's like when the police send a report out that an officer is being disciplined, they initiate a preliminary investigation. Correct? Is that am I saying this right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But they heavily rely on the police departments to do their own investigation, then they review those investigations.
Right. So then, yeah, wild. So, I mean, this report is way big for me. It's 39 pages long, so I can't get it. But from what I understand, there's maybe a staff of 5 to 10 people that are not from regular police departments. So there's like their staff is between 5 and 10 people. I can't see. I'd have to go into the line item of the state budget to figure it out.
Yeah, right. And remember that they had to certify every police officer in the state, which I think they've about done. But they're decertifying, reviewing cases and having hearings for decertification. It also, the law also, this I learned from the executive director at this meeting that they had. But they also can certify agencies. So certifying for complying with the law on reporting, which is what at the time they said was kind of their next step, is developing that program and then doing all the work to certify every agency in the state, seemingly. And so, that's a backdrop. They're running a certification program. They have some investigative bandwidth, but again, it was never, ever designed to replace local oversight. And there is no oversight in the city. And every time I hear the city manager is the oversight, I want to blow my brains out. It's so stupid.
Right.
Like, the city manager manages. That's not oversight. You don't do both. Oversight is external. Think federal government, legislative oversight, different branch of government, something that people in this city, at least in city government, don't understand branches of government. Fifth grade civics.
I mean, just doing a live reading of this report, last year, so this is 2024. So I'm just going to read you the numbers. There was 1,636 citizen complaints in the entire state. So
two posts.
There were 697 submitted by the law enforcement agencies themselves. So 2,200 total complaints were submitted. There's a star on it that says some of these complaints can refer to the same thing. The same thing. Yeah, the 16 total seems to include their board, Natalie. So I don't know how many people are investigators or like people filling out stuff.
No, because there's more than 6 on the board.
Okay. No, she said 16.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's 10, if they have 8 to 10, and then there's more than that on the board. So that doesn't include their board, but they have other staff that isn't investigators, right?
So 2,200, right? 2,200 cases were referred to them. Only 80 were brought before the actual commission of 2,200. So that indicates to me, and there were 50 at the end of the year. There were 50 still open. So I guess that means potentially 130. But if you take the 2,200 number, right, which is this is the number that people have pushed back on me on. I said 5%. What's 10% of 2,200? 220. A half of it is about 110. So I'm right. I'm right on the numbers. About 5% of they're actually reviewing only 5% of the cases. That's based on staffing, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. So that's cases they brought to the board, though. So that would mean that investigators probably looked at more cases than that. But nonetheless, they're not reviewing every case. They're not the oversight mechanism.
Right. So that's what I mean. The whole point is that they can't possibly do oversight locally at the local level that we're asking for. And so the whole, I mean, their own reporting says that Kate Toomey is wrong. And I would question openly, has she ever read this report?
No. I mean, maybe. And she's just lying.
Because the numbers are clearly definitively wrong from what she and Mo Bergman have said on the floor of the council.
Yep.
Right.
Because I mean, again, and we're just doing that support.
We're just doing an inquiry right now. We're Googling shit. You know what I mean? And so, Natalie's pulling stuff out. And there you go. You have like a couple of different things, and that's it. So 4 enforcement council. Those are probably the So there you go. There's just 16 people. I mean, that can't possibly handle 350. They don't even have one person for every police department. I mean,
that's not going to happen. But I mean,
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why you would want a city-based thing,
and that's the phrase. The other Natalie, checks and balances. The city is against checks and balances.
Now we just did that live, and that didn't take that much time. But they won't even do this, which is why we need to force you to change the charter and put it into the charter that someone else has the ability to investigate you internally, because you won't even do this. You won't even do what we just did live on screen.
Right.
And we were able to get more information than the Public Safety Committee's ever given us.
And for those in the majority of the council, if you want to dispute that it's open corruption, well, then you're just sadistic and you like these videos.
Right.
You like hearing Pastor Rizzuto's grandkids scream in horror.
Mm-hmm.
You like, changing Chris Ayala's life, for God's sake. You like watching.
There's no post report for the officers in that case.
No, it's supposed to happen before the law. If you like watching, it's only a few seconds. Watch the Aguirre tape. What's the gang unit, of course? No, I'm sorry, it was Vice. Walks up to Mr. Aguirre's vehicle and reaches in and snatches his phone out of his hand because they didn't want to be recorded. Well, the Supreme Court has said that that's perfectly legal to record public officials in the course of their public duties, but not in Worcester. And where do they get that inspiration? Screw the Supreme Court of the United States. Well, maybe it's when the mayor of the city says screw the Supreme Court of the state every week when he tries to police people's language.
Yeah, again, are very offended when we say, but you know who does do that? At the federal level.
Oh, well, yeah.
So your behavior
the same guy that the mayor called the enemy, the real enemy down in Washington.
The real enemy. That's right. The real enemy. Doing the same stuff. It is what it is. So I guess, I mean, in the end, I guess everybody, we've covered the whole election. You have clear choices you can make. Hopefully it's comprehensive. I really hope you get out and vote and encourage other people to vote. And just, if there's somebody in your life that is, not wanting to vote, tell them, go.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously I'm interested in who wins the election, but it shouldn't matter on this subject.
No. And I've put my words where I've matched my mouth to my feet. In my neighborhood, I have canvassed myself. There's between Pleasant Street and Chandler Street. I live on Irving Street, so there's a little bit over 250 residents in that area, and I've spoken to all of them except for a couple that I've been unable to access. But I've spoken to them and I've encouraged them to vote. I've brought them registration forms. I've mailed people's registration forms for them. I've told them where they could drop them off. All of us have the same voting spot, which is the Murray Ave Apartments, which the last city election only got up to 195 votes. So I've talked to 250 people. None of them voted in the last election. Hopefully they go vote. I hope the Murray Ave Apartments get to 500 votes this time. And if that's true, then I'll feel satisfied that I've been able to affect people voting. I don't care who they vote for. I just want them to vote and participate, because I do think participation also makes people pay attention when you see numbers change. So get out there, vote. Vote for the person that you want, that you care about, and that you're passionate about. Don't let other people hold you down. Get out there and do your thing.
For sure. And obviously next week we'll talk extensively about the results and how wrong we were.
And we might potentially do some kind of election specials the next few days, and then you'll hear Tom on Hank Stoll's radio show, 7:00 Wednesday morning, covering all the hijinks.
I wouldn't bet on me being there at 7, but
I'll be there
before 8. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then I'll be with Hank on the Commonwealth Central Mass Chronicles at 10 o'clock in the morning on at Spectrum, so you can see some coverage there. I think we're gonna be on the news Wednesday night, which is fancy stuff.
Oh, that is
You know
fancy.
what I mean? It is kind of fancy. So, and then
are you gonna make a radio appearance on Wednesday?
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about
Yeah, you
coming out,
should.
but I'm gonna be rocked from the 16-hour day at the
Oh
Warden.
yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
I'll try though. If I'm up, I'll go. It's not far from me. So we'll get some coverage of everything that's going on. Fiona, where's your watch party? Fiona, maybe I'll go hang out with Fiona and her crew. If she's buying me food, I don't know. But I don't know. If she's not buying me food, I'm not going.
You just work 16 hours. Walk in there like a bear and start slugging people or something.
I won't hit anybody. I love the voting thing. It's mine. I have a good time. I have a good crew at the YMCA, and I love that. I love the volunteer. She doesn't know yet. Well, get to it, Fiona. Sing. Yeah, I'm gonna. We need to. Maybe I'll run around to some spots and cover victory parties or whatever. Over the course of the night, I'll try to get. Maybe Tom and I'll go live late at night on Tuesday night. I don't know. Maybe if Tom's up. Maybe we'll go. Maybe we'll go live.
You're the one that's gonna be you're working all day. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not opposed to that. But
see
yeah,
if we get other visitors to come visit our show that night.
But we are well over the limit, so let's call this a day.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us for the comments and all that. And I hope we got to everybody's comment and our question. If we didn't, you're welcome to yell at us.
Yes. And
we will,
as our tradition now for 2 years running, we do not do a favorite things on the election eve special. We didn't do it the last year or the year before.
Oh, I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
All right, good. So with that, we don't have to go through that rigmarole. Everybody have a great week. Make sure you go out and vote on Tuesday, and we will be here next Sunday to try and screw it up less then. Have a good week, everyone.